friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Video 543. That in that neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, it is that time to get into another one of these true crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious what the is going on type of videos. And today, it is Friday. And as y'all know, usually on Fridays, we go back to Adrian from Coffee House Crime. But the Coffee Man did not put out a video this week. So that gives us the opportunity to go back to this man right here. And that man is Nick Crowley. Back to Nick Crowley, y'all. And the title of the video is The Children's TV Show with a Dark Secret. Now, Nick just put this video out like 2 weeks ago, y'all, and ever since I seen it, I've been ready to watch it with y'all, and we finally here to watch it. And all I can say is, man, I hope there's no deaths involved with this dark secret in this freaking children's TV show. You know what I'm saying? I hope don't nobody die. I hope nobody is dead by the time we get to the end of this freaking video. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the freak this dark secret is, I just hope it don't revolve around death. Long story short, short story long. But I don't know. But we're about to see. But before we see, my brothers and sisters, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you might need. Get what you need, please. We back to Nick Crowley for the 5th time. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
And it'll be worth 20 points. 20 points. No doubt I'll have a picture on the front page of every newspaper in the country, right, Ron?
It's 8 a.m. sharp on a Saturday morning in 1979. Families in the Tampa Bay area turn on their television sets as thousands of sleepy children awake on their day off from school. Some flip to Nickelodeon, where a rerun of Pinwheel is playing. Some flip to ABC, where they would catch the final episode of a short-lived TV series called Fangface. However, that morning, others would opt for a more virtuous wake-up call, flipping the station instead to channel 22, or the Christian Television Network, where a new show was opening the day's slate. A show called Joy Junction is the place to be. Joy for you and me. The show Joy Junction quickly found its place in the hearts of viewers, with kids immediately connecting with the quirky characters and silly games. Their Christian parents, too, found solace in the show's themes and non-offensive stories, creating a program that could be experienced together as a whole family. From that day on, families all across Florida and eventually across the entire United States came to enjoy the program, which continued on for a run of over 20 long years, until one Saturday morning at 8 a.m. sharp, when, without explanation, the show came to an unceremonious end and was never broadcast again.
It's just so crazy, y'all, that Nick said that this show went on for 20 years and I have never heard of it. But he gave me some nostalgia at the beginning of this, man, talking about y'all, if you my age, I don't know how it goes on with the kids nowadays, but if you're my age or older, you know how fun it was to wake up early on a Saturday morning and you getting all these back-to-back cartoons on these certain networks. He gave me nostalgia with that, but I never heard of Joy Junction. And why after 20 years it just abruptly ended. Now I'm gonna throw this little theory out here, and I don't know if I'm right or not, but that man who was in the damn camera, he gave me some weird vibes. Now I don't know what he done did. I ain't gonna say he done did anything, but I'm just saying, watch out for that man in them glasses that we just seen. Let's go.
Today, the show and all official records of it have been scrubbed from the internet, with the companies behind its creation and the networks that aired it acting as if it never even existed, some allegedly going as far as to destroy any remaining copies, thanks solely to the heinous events that transpired during and after its television run. This is the story of Joy Junction, the children's TV show with an unimaginably dark secret.
We'll return after these messages.
One of the most frustrating things to me is spam phone calls and spam
Nick with his commercial, man, but that was a great intro. I am very intrigued to find out what this dark secret is. Like I said, y'all, I hope it don't result in freaking death for nobody, but at the same time, when you got kids on the show and you know you're watching Nick Crowley and we talking about dark secrets, now I gotta bring up the P word. Are one of those adults on the show the P word? You know what the P word is. We are watching millions of videos about it. Jesus freaking Christ. I hope that ain't what it is too. I don't know, but we passed all Nick commercials. Shout out to Nick Crowley, and let's go.
Come and join us for a half hour of fun and games at Joy Junction. Now here's Sheriff Don.
Thank you, and welcome to this fun little town of Joy Junction.
Joy Junction was both the name of the show and the name of the fictional town in which it was focused. A town where numerous characters converged to tell stories, play games, and answer questions, all of which pertaining to Christianity. Each episode followed the same basic structure. They were 30 minutes long and would tackle one general lesson taught in the Bible and tell it through an acted out story. This was then interspersed with various games and audience participation, as the show heavily leaned on including its young fan base and immersing them in the world of Joy Junction. They even had a live studio audience for every episode, comprised of kids ages 3 to 13, with the participants and crowd genuinely seeming excited to be there, which was largely due to its lovable cast of characters. The most prevalent of these was Sheriff Don, who was actually played by the creator of the show itself, Don McAllister.
And this the dude I was talking about earlier, the man with the glasses. What if we find out that he either a P word or he a murderer? I'm just saying, man.
Gang is here, so we're going to have us a good time today. Glad you could join us for the next 30 minutes.
He guided the show from segment to segment and often focused on the Bible while driving home the episode's central theme, while also being the one who most often interacted with the children who participated in the show. Then there was Forrest Padley, a soft-spoken professor who, ironically, often had lessons taught to him due to his obvious clueless nature.
Your bubble, he'll even help when you did wrong.
Well, I'm not a poet, but how about he'll even help when you're in trouble?
Hey, Sheriff Don, you're a poet too.
And of course, the fan favorite, Whittler Dan, a caricature of a southern farmer known as the goofy storyteller of the group.
Good, yeah. Oh, hi. I'm just sitting here reading some of the mail from Joy Junction and some of the jokes in here. Would you like me to read some more? Oh, okay. That's good, yeah. Oh, you want me to read it to you?
But of all the characters to
Okay, now I gotta just say all three of those dudes that gave me P-word vibes. I got P-word vibes from all of them. I know you don't supposed to judge a book by its cover or whatever, but I'm just saying.
come from Joy Junction, there was one or two who were by far the most popular yet polarizing. Ron and Marty. Played by professional ventriloquist Ronald Williams, Ron and Marty were far and away the most memorable characters for those who watched the show, and for obvious reasons too. Many children watching at home found the duo, and Marty specifically, to be off-putting, even horrifying, with some claiming that the doll gave them nightmares and was just too creepy to look at, causing many to stop watching the show altogether. But despite this, others found the duo to be hilarious and entertaining, tuning in week after week just to see them perform. For the viewers, it was a love or hate relationship with Ron and Marty. But even so, it was impossible to dismiss their impact on the show. They appear in every single episode that we have available today, and they were often tasked with teaching the children some of the series' most important lessons. Lessons like not to cuss.
Seems like I'm hearing a lot of swear words. All the kids are using swear words these days. And I'm afraid one of them's going to slip out of my mouth. First of all, Why don't you try immediately praying and asking the Lord to take those bad words and thoughts out of your mind? Say, that's a good idea.
Practicing self-control.
Self-control? Oh, well, I don't think my self-control works. It must be broken. Well, no, Marty. I don't think anybody can practice self-control all by themselves, but if you'll just ask the Lord to help you, He will.
Defeating bad thoughts.
Hearts will cause good words and thoughts to come out of our mouths. It's almost so, Marty, as if our mouths will overflow with the thoughts and the ideas that are inside of us. You know, we need to be very careful about what we put in our minds and our hearts, Marty. That's for sure.
And most controversially,
Ron, they were looking at some dirty pictures and they wanted me to look too. Well, Marty, what did you do? Well, I said, look, guys, I like you a lot and I want to play with you, but I can't look at those pictures. I just can't do it.
whether
What
it was
the freak? Dude, why? I get the message. Maybe I get the message or understand, or y'all to understand what they was trying to deliver, the message that they was trying to deliver. But why would you bring up talking about dirty pictures? Like, come on, man. Then on top of things, y'all, this is a Christian. I love putting stuff in quotations because these are not my words. These are just the perceptions of what they trying to portray. This is a Christian freaking TV show. You know what I'm saying? So why are you bringing up freaking porno? Point blank period. Anyway, man, dirty pictures, porno, all that stuff is the same. Even if you're trying to teach kids not to do it, you shouldn't be bringing it freaking up. That is just crazy to me. And we got to add them to the list of the other three dudes. All three of these dudes might be involved with the pedo shit. For all we know. I don't know. But let's go.
the lessons they taught, or Marty's blatant uncanniness, these two characters were the most vividly remembered part of the show. And this is important as these memories are essentially all we've been left with.
We are still covered with that darkness and with that sin. And when we say He'll wash us as white as snow, that's referring to the sin that's within us.
Joy Junction is classified today mainly as lost media. No official copies of the show have ever been published by its creators or the networks that owned it. It just kind of ended one day and was never talked about again by those involved with the project. And this lack of archiving stretches past just the media itself. If you were to look online for information on the show today, you would find next to nothing. There's no Wikipedia page, no actors, producers, or directors mentioning it in their work history or on their resumes. There's no official website. There's essentially nothing. Not even so much as an official date in which the show started and ended, despite the fact that the show apparently ran for 20 long years. We know for sure that the show aired on CTN in the 1980s, specifically in the Tampa Bay area, before it was later syndicated and broadcast across the country on channels such as TBN and Smile of a Child. But today, none of these networks mention the show having ever aired in their lineups, and none of them have ever provided an explanation as to why the show was pulled from the air. The only reason we even know anything about it is thanks to old recordings and VHS tapes captured by those who once enjoyed the show, with a few dozen episodes and some short clips from the series having made their way to YouTube in recent years, essentially serving as the only surviving relics of Joy Junction. Because of this, the show is largely a mystery, and information is incredibly scarce and hard to come by. But after doing some digging, I was able to find some mentions of it in old newspapers printed nearly 45 years ago that did shed a bit of light on the context surrounding its creation. The first mention of Joy Junction came in 1978 within the Evening Independent, though at this point it was not even a television show yet. Instead, advertisements were placed in the paper weekly for the Faith Community Church in Largo, Texas, that mentioned including some sort of in-person act specifically for children, called Joy Junction. It's unclear what this performance actually entailed, but coincidentally, just 1 year later, the show Joy Junction would begin filming in Largo, Florida, with these original performances likely serving as the inspiration and the basis for the show itself. Following this trail of newspapers, I also found that the show was created by a company called WCLF, which began broadcasting back in October of 1979, with the founder of the company vaguely mentioning Joy Junction as an upcoming project. And sure enough, 1 week later, that same paper included a television guide that mentioned Joy Junction showing on TV for the very first time, giving us its likely premiere date of November 10th, 1979. Aside from this, I was able to confirm that the show did in fact play all across the United States and wasn't limited to just Florida, which might be why finding an exact date on when the show ended has proven essentially impossible. But the most common belief across the internet is that the show lasted until somewhere around 2004, putting its lifespan at a surprising 25 years, which makes it all the more unusual that there's hardly any mention of it online, and that there was seemingly no attempt to ever even archive it.
Yep.
It seemed as if the parties involved didn't just drop the show and forget about it. They completely washed their hands of it and tried their best to bury it. There are even rumors circulating that CTN themselves had all their remaining copies set on fire and destroyed so that the show would forever be forgotten. And when you consider everything that happened, this isn't really all that surprising. But what is surprising is the extent of the unraveling and the way in which it began, as it all started with a simple water bottle.
What, the water bottle? Man, come on, Nick. Tell us what the freak happened, y'all. Because I'm just sitting back listening to them and hearing how they basically tried to erase this show from the freaking internet. You know what I'm saying, man? They tried to get rid of all existence of this show. Even the freaking actors within this show don't even list it on they what it is, IMDb. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, it's not even listed. Like, no actors even want to acknowledge that they was once a part of this show. So what the hell is the dark secret with this show? Like I said, I'm just gonna point to it again. I hope it's not murder. I don't know. Let's go.
It's unknown when exactly the discovery was made, just that it was a terrible one. Police arrest a man under the suspicion of distributing CP, only to find numerous images depicting it on his hard drive, with the vast majority of the victims involved being impossible to identify, except for one. Within the background of one of the images lay a hidden clue, a water bottle displaying the name of a swim and scuba school in Johnson County, Kansas City. Police did a search of the area, asking for help identifying the victim, which led them to a young child who swiftly pointed out their abuser as being a man named Michael Arnett. Michael was immediately arrested, after which the true extent of his crime would be uncovered on his home computers. They contained countless photographs and videos depicting the same disturbing material, including a great deal that was produced by Michael himself. The contents of these images are genuinely some of the most appalling I've ever heard described, though we'll get more into that later, because there is something more relevant to this video that they found on his device. It was a lengthy online chat history with a man named Ronald Brown.
Oh
And
my
Ron,
God.
you're not one to talk. You're always on the telephone, too. Well, I guess you've got a point there, Marty.
Ronald's life was centered around three things: ventriloquism, Christianity, and children. His primary job was working as a traveling puppeteer with a show called Puppets Plus, working school events, birthday parties, and at local malls. He also hosted a weekly puppet show for his local congregation that he billed as being specifically for children. And of course, he had his role on Joy Junction. Every aspect of his life brought him in close proximity to children, and as it turns out, there were several undisclosed incidents that raised serious red flags about this. The first incident occurred in 1998, at a time when Joy Junction was still believed to be in circulation across TV stations. Brown was driving home late one evening when a police officer pulled him over for speeding. The officer shined his light in the car as Ronald reached for his documents, only for his light to catch something unusual stuck between the seat cushions. It was underwear. Children's underwear. Despite the alarming nature of this, Ronald would end up convincing the officer that nothing strange was going on, claiming that the old pair of briefs merely belonged to his puppet, Marty. That night, Ronald was allowed to drive away without further questioning. Though things get stranger from here. Around the time of this encounter, Ronald had been living in a home conveniently located less than a block away from a popular playground, and upon moving into this home, neighbors began to complain of Ronald's relationship with young children in the area. Every Wednesday, kids from around the block would ride their scooters and their bikes over to his house for free pizza. The group would eventually emerge from the home, and Ronald would drive them in his van to a nearby church, where he would supposedly perform his ventriloquism. These weekly meetups were strange to say the least, especially because they were allegedly fairly secretive, with some children even sneaking off to meet the man without telling their parents. There were even other allegations that Ronald himself had hid their bikes underneath his home, almost as if he was trying to avoid any suspicion. And although I couldn't find concrete proof of this, it was rumored that when neighbors checked underneath his home, they reported not only finding these bikes, but used sex toys as well, which were stashed there for unknown reasons.
Okay, everything that Nick is telling us right now, long story short, story long, Ronald he got multiple victims of, Can I even say this on YouTube, man? Like, seriously, y'all know what I'm saying. When I say victims, I'm talking about children, man, of doing the most craziest stuff that you can imagine. I was thinking that maybe they will be the P word. They would be pedos. Let's go and say pedos. I thought they would be pedos, but I didn't think that they would be doing CP and have a long history of doing this. Wow, man.
There were never any sort of allegations made against Ron, legal or otherwise, but the red flags here are glaring. Red flags that seemingly went ignored, as people bought into Ronald's act as a God-fearing, silly ventriloquist. Though in reality, the chats found on the computer of Michael Arnett shattered this perception in the most dramatic way imaginable. Though even so, these chats aren't what you would expect. No, somehow they are much, much worse.
What the fuck? Much worse?
Within their conversations were numerous messages between the two men, fantasizing about not only killing children, but eating them as well, with most of the messages being far too vile to discuss or even show in this video. And this wasn't just fascination, it was obsession. Ronald had even found a child at his church that he frequently discussed wanting to eat, mentioning that he would be the perfect feast for Easter, describing what it would be like to end his life and to consume his body. And this went far past just talking, as Brown had taken photos of the child from afar and had actually been formulating a plan to kidnap him. He had even sent a photo of the child with black lines drawn over it to show the various spots in which Ronald wanted to butcher him. This was all supported by his friend Michael too, who himself claimed to have eaten multiple children, with a man even sending a photo of a 2-year-old girl that was seen inside of a pot, inside of an oven.
What? What the
And this
fuck?
wasn't the end of the shocking discoveries either, as things were made even worse upon investigators searching into Ronald's username, UE Lime. In doing so, they discovered an account on a website called cutedeadguys.net, which was and is a forum for sharing images of the dead between those who fetishize corpses. And within his account, Ronald stated that he was one of these people too, admitting that he loved the sight of dead boys ever since he was a young man. And he wasn't lying either. Upon these revelations, Ronald's home was raided, where police would find over 200 images containing CP, which didn't even include the hundreds of others showing tied up children, children being abused, and children that appeared to be dead.
This is crazy, y'all. I gotta stop you real quick, man, because this is just freaking crazy. I gotta take a break. What the freak are we listening to? This has went way past what the freak I thought it was gonna be. I know we watching Nick Crowley, man, but I didn't think it was gonna get nowhere near this freaking dark, man, crazy, y'all. What the hell? I don't even know where to begin with the craziness that we listening to. That's why I'm not gonna even go over it, because if I start going over it right now, I'm gonna go on a tangent. We almost through with the video, but I just had to pause it like, man, what the hell are we listening to? These are children that we talking about that this stuff has happened to.
This, police also found a blow-up sex doll in the home that was dressed in little boy's clothing, and inside one of his sock drawers was another hard drive with images of countless dead children, as well as a single flyer for a missing child in the area. He also had hundreds of images of a young boy named Andrew, who had attended Brown's church and youth group, with the boy having died of a brain tumor years before. Photos that showed the boy's slow physical decline, all the way until his memorial service.
You know, Don, you have to invite Jesus Christ to come into your heart and ask Him to forgive you of your sin.
Upon his arrest, Ronald Brown admitted to everything. He truly did want to eat the child he had been eyeing up at his church, along with many others over the years. Though after saying this, he claimed that he would never actually have carried through with it, and that Michael and him were merely role-playing. This is heavily debated to this day, as technically there isn't proof that any of these delusions spilled over to the real world. But that's only what we know of, and considering the large quantity of CP in his home, the self-admitted obsession with dead little boys, and the actual plans he had to kidnap and eat a child, it seemed clear that it was only a matter of time before he finally followed through with his desires.
I just gotta stop it again, man, because I gotta say this to y'all, Bean Team. I don't give a damn if you're murdering or you're doing the CP to the children. It's just as bad. You got caught with all this CP. It's just as bad as if you would have carried out eating one of those children. To me, man, and I'm pretty sure to a lot of y'all out there, like, just because you didn't do that, don't make this no better. What we got plenty of terrifying, terrible evidence of. It don't excuse that fact. I don't even care the fact that you didn't actually carry out the eating and cannibalism of these little kids. The fact that you goddamn got this stuff on, man, listen. Let's go, y'all. Y'all get what I'm saying. I'm hot, I'm mad, I'm disgusted, I'm freaking shocked. You know what I'm saying? I did not expect this from this video. I did not have my seatbelt on tight enough before we started. What the hell?
For Ronald, there was no defense. And because of this, the judge handed down a sentence of 20 years in 2014, which would wind up becoming a life sentence, as it appears he passed away sometime in 2020, well before his scheduled release. This discovery changed the entire context surrounding Joy Junction, the wholesome TV show beloved by children all across the country, only for one of its main stars to be outed as a predator of the most disturbing caliber. But there was one last discovery made by law enforcement in Ronald's case that makes the show that much more chilling. During the raid on Ronald's home, officers found a collection of journals that Ronald wrote in daily, where he obsessively discussed young boys that he had been coming into contact with, highlighting his desire to know what it was like to kill them, and to know how they taste. These journals, to my knowledge, have never been released to the public, but the thing I find most interesting about this is the date at which these journals started. 1978, meaning that this disturbing desire had been brewing inside of him for decades. And coincidentally, Joy Junction just so happened to start 1 year later, in 1979, meaning that many of the kids seen on this program were likely the very same ones that Ronald wanted to eat.
Wow.
Given this context, it's no wonder why all parties involved with Joy Junction cut ties with it completely. It just changes the entire feeling of the show. From the moment that one simple water bottle was identified, Joy Junction's fate was sealed, and so was Ronald Brown's. Still though, I'm left with many questions after reviewing this case. Was there anything more to that traffic stop in 1998, or those pizza parties with the kids? And how serious was Ronald about following through with his plans to kill C, with the answer to these questions likely being taken to the grave along with him? But what I find so fascinating about this case is that the fallout of the raid on Michael Arnett's home is still being felt to this very day. Honest devices weren't just chats from Ronald Brown. In fact, there were hundreds of other predators, with officers going on to arrest many of them, some of whom are still in the process of being tried and sentenced. And when reading into some of these other cases involving Michael, it's evident just how serious these people were about their dark cravings. One of these men was even recently caught having built an entire bunker equipped with torture tools in preparation for his first victim, which he planned to share with Michael. On top of all the CP distribution, these fantasies about killing children weren't just roleplay. These were very real thoughts and very real plans. But the one small bright spot of this case is that the 2-year-old girl that Michael had photographed in his oven, thankfully was found alive and well, and he too never got to carry through with eating a child, at least that we know. But his physical abuse against them was in fact very real, and as were his desires that him and Ronald likely would have acted on had this entire ring never been exposed. When it was conceived, Joy Junction was meant to teach children morals, right from wrong, but ironically, many of these lessons just so happened to be taught by a man who was actively engaging in the very behaviors that were condemned by Joy Junction.
Ron, they were looking at some dirty pictures and they wanted me to look too. As your companions, you should have friends who have pure and clean thoughts and will only give you good ideas.
With his actions forever tainting the show and condemning it to a lifetime of obscurity, remembered only for the man and his puppet who brought the whole thing down.
As a matter of fact, there's something I want to share right now. Really? That's right. Don't go away, kids. Joy Junction is coming right back.
That is some of the most creepiest shit I have ever heard in my life, my brothers and sisters. I did not go, like I said, man, I did not have my seatbelt on tight enough for this one, man. I'm almost at a loss for words with what the freak we just watched. I did not expect that. All y'all out there who was telling me, man, to check out Nick Crowley, I just gotta clap it up for y'all once again. I know I done told y'all I appreciate y'all for telling me over and over and over and over and over to check out his channel, but I see why now, man. What the freak? This some of the stuff that I go to sleep tonight, y'all, still thinking about. Where do I even begin talking about this, man? This is just freaking crazy. And I'm gonna put this out there, and y'all just follow me real quick, but I'm gonna put this out there real quick, because at the end, y'all, Nick revealed that it was even more people involved with the same type of involvement that the main dude was. Can't remember his name. Glad I don't remember his name, but y'all know what I'm talking about. The dude who was found with the CP and all that, and talking about eating kids, and he was on the show with the puppet. Y'all know who I'm talking about. It was other people involved that was found involved around with him. I'm just saying, man, I maybe was wrong when I was accusing those other people of being involved with the CP, the other dudes on the show. I think you had like a sheriff and you had some other characters, main characters, whatever. They may be, some of them may not been involved. All I'm trying to say is, man, that I feel like more people was involved than we know about. And I also, because that go to this, I feel like he committed a lot more crimes, a lot more of the most craziest ish than we even can prove or know about, like those pizza parties. Them pizza parties were not just pizza parties, at least not all of them. You know what I'm saying? Some of those pizza parties was the worst pizza parties that God could goddamn create. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, man, this is crazy what he was doing to these kids. What the fuck did we just listen to, my brothers and sisters? And another thing, man, and I'm not a religious man myself, but I'm just saying, for somebody to be claiming that they Christian and doing this, for me, it just make you kind of lose faith in Christianity. You know what I'm saying, man? Unless you a Christian that really like believe that some Christians gonna be evil, but I don't know. I don't want to get into all that, because like I said, I ain't no Christian. I'm not finna say how a Christian supposed to think or whatever like that. But y'all get what I'm saying too. Just the fact that it was a Christian show and you got a dude like that on it, it just shows you, man, that evil can freaking be anywhere out there in the freaking world. And I'm not gonna go on with this tangent, diatribe, or whatever you want to say, my brothers and sisters. I'm finna go and let y'all go. What the freaking hell did we just hear and watch? Great freaking video from Nick Crowley, y'all, man. Great freaking video. But I digress. Like I said, man, I'm gonna let y'all go now. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. And before y'all leave, just please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And come on back tomorrow. I think we going to AJ from the Y-Files. But until then, my friends, I also need y'all to remember this. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.